Hi family, I'm going to talk today about the commandments that God wrote in stone. When God freed his people from slavery, their spiritual authority, who was Moses at the time, went onto a mountain, and God himself, who made heaven and earth, wrote 10 commandments in stone. Now the commandments were made for man, not man for the commandments. They were made so that we could have what's truly valuable in our lives. And I'll talk more about that tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about the commandments that God wrote in flesh. But today we'll talk about the commandments that God wrote in stone. I think since the creator of heaven and earth came to earth and wrote his law in stone, that it's probably pretty important. And a lot of people say that there's a lot of people that want to get religious and debate things. We're saved by grace, and we are saved by grace. But by grace we have the Spirit. So anyone who says that we can't be obedient, I don't know that they're truly saved. Because we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. We can do all things through the Holy Spirit. So, the 10 commandments that God wrote in stone were put inside of a golden ark that was carried by 4 priests, covered by 2 cherubim angels made out of gold that covered over the law, and on top of the law sat the mercy seat. Apart from God's mercy, the law is death. And the law wasn't made for death. The law was made for life. But because of the mercy and because of God's mercy, his law has become life to those of us who believe. The first law God gave us is that we should worship no other gods. Everything else that we put our life energy into only takes life from us. God gives back everything in abundance that we give to him. It's impossible to outgive God, and he is truly the only one worth worshiping. The next commandment is, thou shalt not make for thyself any graven images. Now, there's not a lot of people running around worshiping idols directly anymore, but we worship a lot of things indirectly. We worship cars, we worship women, we worship television sets, we worship money. It's all self-worship, really. Until you've seen yourself in the light, in God's light, who is Jesus Christ, you've never really even seen yourself. And if you saw yourself, you really would know you were unworthy of worship. So, the next commandment is, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Our God is holy, righteous, and good. In him is no evil, and he will not have evil spoken of his name, or have his name used as a byword. The 4th commandment is, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. In all of creation, God never made any animal or any of his creation. He never called any of it holy. He said it was good, and he's right, it is good. But the only thing that he made holy was a portion of time set apart to worship him who gave us our liberty, who gives us our liberty, who is our liberty. And in that portion of time, the 7th day of the week, the Holy Sabbath, we celebrate our glorious liberty by not working and by contemplating how good everything God has made is. The 5th commandment is honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land that the Lord thy God gives thee. We should honor our father and mother. We should love one another regardless of our title or position, but in this commandment, as a Christian, it has 2 meanings for me. Jesus said, call no man your father except for God who is in heaven. And The church is my mother. And so the sixth commandment is, thou shalt not kill. To kill is to count man's life without value, and by extension of that, it counts him who made man's life without value. Thou shalt not commit adultery. To have intimate relationships within the bonds of marriage is symbolic of God's unity with His bride. To have intimate relationships apart from faithfulness is symbolic of man's unity with the world and man's unity with death. Thou shalt not lie or bear false witness against thy neighbor. God hates a lying tongue, and all that is good is built upon the truth, and all that is evil is built upon lies. Thou shalt not steal. To steal is to count something worth more than someone's trust, and all that is good is built upon truth, and by that truth we have trust. And to count something worth more than someone's trust is misjudgment. Thou shalt not covet. To covet is to believe or to think that happiness comes from having, and true happiness comes from giving. True happiness is given by God. It's a gift to those that are living right, to those that know His holy presence. So these are the 10 commandments that God wrote in stone and gave to His people that sit in the golden ark, the Ark of the Covenant, with 2 cherubim angels, or 2 symbols of cherubim angels, sitting over it, and the mercy seat on top of the law. And God wrote these in stone with His own hands. So I think they're pretty important. Thanks.